Welcome to another episode of Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle. This is very exciting because this is our 10th episode. We've done it. We've made it to 2 whole digits. I thought it was exciting at 9, but bam! Here we are at 10.
That's how numbers work.
9 was a mighty number.
How is everybody doing?
Doing pretty good.
Wait a minute. Whose voice is this? Who is this stranger who has invaded our game?
There's some guy
is
in
it
here.
Macho Man? Is that who I hear
No,
over there? Oh.
Vetoing Macho Man.
Okay.
Oh, I don't get my entrance music?
Bam, ba, bam, ba, bam, 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 ba, bam, ba, bam. A little more rocky than Macho Man, but we have a brand new player who is going to be joining us. Bill, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name's Bill Ruska, and I will be playing the new character, Lucius Jensen, Dr. Lucius Jensen.
Would he, in fact, be a doctor as his archetype?
No, he just... yes, he is.
Doctor as his archetype, but it is a doctorate in philosophy.
That's not how it works in Vossen. That would be an academic, and we've already got one of those. Aaron, you want to remind us who you're playing?
Yes, I am playing Sophie Ingesdotter, who is, as previously mentioned, an academic who, she may or may not be a doctor. I actually haven't thought about that.
Excellent.
You know what? She's a doctor. It's canon now.
Boom. And last but never least, Phoenix, could you give us a quick reminder on who you are playing?
Yes, hi. I am playing Dr. Julian Benavides. No. He just plays doctor. I am a socialite, and I am the face who rolls really, really bad rolls when it's time to do the social things. But hey, it's my archetype. It's fine. This is going to be great.
I mean, you always roll well when we need you to.
No, he doesn't.
Do I? I think I rolled once real well when you needed me to.
Yeah, you'll have a rival now for bad rolls.
Phoenix, wait a minute. All this time we've been calling you Julian. Am I supposed to be pronouncing it Julian?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on it comes and goes. It just depends on how you want to treat it that day.
Okay.
Also, we have now an entire party of doctors. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Fantastic.
Hey, and guess what? If I get my wish, then one of these episodes soon, I'll even be a witch doctor.
So, we find ourselves in 1888, a few weeks after the end of our previous mystery, and things are a little bit warmer and a little bit nicer. Here in Ballard, without a doubt, the thriving heart of this city in 1888 is its waterfront. Fishing boats are returning day and night with fresh catches of salmon, trout, and Dungeness crab. Factories nestle on the shoreline, working all hours of day and night, processing trees into planks, masts, and roofing shingles, as well as the constant work of canning to preserve everything taken from the sea. Most folks don't even mention it anymore, but Ballard wasn't this community's first name. Instead, it was once called Farmdale. A few local folks still honor that legacy by striving to live off the land rather than the bounty of the Puget Sound, and their summers are spent hard at work growing crops on the few farms that line the edge of the old-growth forests. Thankfully, they are in luck, because summertime in the Pacific Northwest is a thing of magic. While spring in Ballard is typically cold and rainy, summer days seem to last forever. The sun rises around 6:30 a.m., and it won't set until close to 9 p.m. The days are warm without being hot or humid, and the nights are cool and pleasant. While the farms aren't nearly so lush as those further south in the Yakima Valley, the few farmers in Ballard are still able to grow rich crops of wheat, squashes, and even a few newly planted apple trees, which have taken to the area with shocking speed. On just such a warm, sunny day, a cart pulled by a broad-shouldered plow horse rambles its way up a dirt road. Its destination is one of those small farmsteads beyond the edge of town. Two men sit in the front of the cart, speaking little. The farmer who owns the cart remains silent, weighed down by worries. Not for his farm, or his recently purchased steam plow, or even this year's growing crops, but instead the life and well-being of his only daughter. Farmer Johann Grimson clenches his jaw when he thinks about his little girl Lottie. He spares a look for the man sitting next to him, and then cracks the reins to hasten the old horse faster. He needs to get the doctor to his family as fast as he can. The doctor is also quiet, his thoughts his own. Bill, can we get a description of what Dr. Lucius Jensen looks like?
Of course. So, sitting, I guess, next to Farmer, I'm sorry, Johann?
Johann.
Okay. So, my apologies there. Is sitting a man, looks to be kind of in his probably early to maybe mid 40s. Kind of, I guess you would call it has a distinguished look about him. Hair properly combed. Has a bit of a beard, but unlike any official documentation or pictures from back in the time, they're a little bit more gray than probably the Lucius would like to admit seeing in on his face. He's kind of just, tallish, probably around 6'1", broad shoulders, a person that looks like he knows how to conduct himself.
And what equipment is Lucius bringing with him today?
He is wearing a looks to be kind of a heavy wool coat. This almost a kind of a militaristic design, something that he's held on to for many a year. It's served him well against biting cold and wind
rains
and rain.
Out here in the Pacific.
Oh, of course. He also is traveling with his equipment bag, his toolkit, various sundries and a little bit of ointments. Obviously, some utensils such as like a scalpel and just a stethoscope and other items to help just in his practice,
do some
medical practice.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, searching for the words on the fly. It's not happening well. But yes, so he's if on the trip up to the farm, the doctor might have noticed every so often Lucius keeps a little flask in his inside pocket. We'll take it out, just take a quick nip, put it back, and focus mostly just on taking in the area. He's this is a part of the country Lucius is not very familiar with, and he is trying to take in and understand both the layout of the town that he's in, as well as kind of the mannerisms of the people and how everyone acts and interacts with each other.
Perfect. And is there any kind of inscription on the flask, anything decorative, or is it very plain and very simple?
There is a little bit of filigree, I guess, on the front. I will say there is an inscription, but it's more on the back inside part that would keep that close.
So the one he keeps close to the heart.
Yes.
Perfect. So it is a fairly long ride out, as this farm is just past kind of the edges of town, and you soon see it framed in the distance. There are these thick rows of wheat that are all grown behind this farmstead, and waiting outside is a woman. You soon arrive on the cart, and Johann introduces his wife, Agatha Sarasdottir.
Oh, good evening. Pleasure to meet you. I hear, if I understand your husband correctly, your child is fallen ill?
They both nod and they lightly clasp hands. Johann turns to look at you. She seems to be very unwell. She is like she is in the sleep that she cannot awaken from. We have tried everything we can, but we know we need a man of science.
Well, that is indeed odd. Has she eaten anything unusual, something foreign or not typically consumed by you and your family on a regular basis?
Agatha shakes her head. No, nothing unusual. She has been eating much of the same things that we have.
Did she... is this more if she went to bed, you all went to bed one evening and the next morning she did not wake up? Or does this
He
suddenly...
nods.
Well, please take me. Let's go see your daughter. Let's see what we can discern.
Come, right this way. You head towards the farmstead. You notice out front there is a massive black iron steam plow. It looks brand new, like it hasn't even gotten out into the fields yet. And you see wave after wave of just fields of wheat out in the back.
My goodness, what beautiful home you have.
They escort you into the farmstead. In the front kitchen area for receiving, they've got a large kitchen table, they've got a stove, they've got a few buckets of water, they've got a fireplace, and near to that, they have set up a small cot. And on it rests a young girl. She's probably 7 or 8. Her blonde hair done up in elaborate braids.
My goodness. Okay. As Lucius approaches, he'll put his bag kind of down on the floor next to the cot, and just with the back of his hand, put it on to the girl's forehead just to check for temperature.
She is absolutely running a fever.
My goodness. Okay. I will start, open my bag and pull out a thermometer to try and just get an initial reading just to see how high everything is.
For a moment, you actually need to kind of hold her down because she's tossing and turning, almost as if she's half asleep. She occasionally mumbles something, but you can never quite catch what it is. But you're able to hold her still and get a temperature reading, and it's just shy of 100 degrees.
This is not good. You said she's been like this for the last since last evening?
4 days now.
4 days.
4 days.
Has she? I noticed that she seems to be tossing, turning. Has she said anything? Has anything weird? Just
they both shake their heads.
She seems to mumble, but we don't hear any words. We try to listen to her.
I will.
So, Bill, could I get an investigation test from you?
Okay.
Jumping right in with the first rolls.
Oh boy.
Here we go. Let's do this.
Bill's first roll. Let's do it.
Hey, 2 out of 7? 2 out of 7.
Nice.
Nice. So, Lucius is studying this girl, looking things over. He is a very, very well-versed doctor. He is very knowledgeable. And yet, these symptoms are a little unlike anything that he's run into before. He's checking her pulse, he's checking her temperature. You lightly lift up her hand, and you notice all over the tips of her fingers are what appear to be bite marks. Tiny, tiny bite marks that are swollen and look like they might have been caused by a rat or a large insect.
I will turn to the father, ask Johann. I understand farms have pests, so they all do. Your daughter looks at her fingers, and he'll hold up her hand. You see, these look to be potentially rodent or maybe insect bites. Has she been handling any rodents or anything unusual?
They definitely don't think so.
Have you noticed anything unusual around the house?
They have seen the occasional rat, But there are a number of cats here to deal with that exact problem.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill, as you're talking to them, you hear something. It almost sounds like the beating of wings, like a dragonfly or a hummingbird, just right behind you.
I will stop for a moment and look around to see if I can discern, I guess, what direction or what might have caused that noise.
It sounded like it was right behind you near the fireplace. Do you turn back around and see if there's anything there?
Yeah, I'll go inspect the fireplace.
Nothing. There's no weird bugs. There's no mosquitoes. There's certainly no hummingbirds or dragonflies.
My apologies, John. I thought I heard something. The faint, maybe almost buzzing sound. No, neither of you heard anything, did you?
They look at each other again and shake their heads.
Now
we've already had you make one roll, so let's have you make another. Bill, can you give me an observation test?
Ooh.
Now, an important note, this is something unique to Vasan. Vigilance is the skill to sort of perceive the world around you.
Mm-hmm.
Observation is your social insight. So this is noticing things about people. I'm sure Dr. Jensen is super good at that.
Oh, I mean, he might have been at one point. Oh, no. He does not succeed in noticing something.
And what'd you get?
0 out of 2.
So you have 2 dice on observation.
2 dice on observation.
Very good side manner.
Observation is... Oh, that's empathy.
That's right, an empathy-related roll.
Yes, that's... Yes, yep. That is not Lucius's Ballywick. No, so 0 out of 2. I do not notice anything, I guess, unusual.
So you're talking to the family, but nothing seems out of the ordinary to you.
Is there anything else I noticed with the girls about the girl's person? Any other wounds on like her feet, her ankles?
There are. You move aside some of the blankets that she's wrapped in as she's near this fireplace, and very similar to those bites that she had on her fingertips, you see them on the soles of her feet and on her toes as well.
Again, I will turn to the father and the mother. These bite marks are all over your child's feet. Do you have any idea what this might be?
They seem perplexed and they're shocked they hadn't noticed this before.
Do any of the bite marks look fresh, or do they look more like maybe scabbed or bruised over or something?
They look a little bit scabbed, a little bit bruised. Give me a learning test.
Here we go. 1 out of 6.
All right.
And that's already more successes than I have in an entire campaign in most times.
Right?
That's not that bad. So Lucius kind of leans in close and notices not only are these somewhat recent, maybe a day ago at the oldest, but they're also almost puckered. Like, not only did something bite this girl, but it was almost sucking blood out.
Oh.
Chupacabra.
And Bill, just barely, Lucius is able to hear the distant laughter of children.
Am I able to, I guess, discern a direction, or again, just kind of behind?
Sounds like it's coming from the back room of the farmhouse.
This is highly. Did Lucius will look at the parents? Did you not? Do you have any other children? Is this your only daughter?
They give you a very strange look. No, we have just our Lottie. I mentioned she's my only girl.
But I swear I just heard children coming from the sound of children from the barn, or from the back room or from the barn area.
Agatha, gives her husband Johann a very serious look, and he sighs. I did not hear anything. Did you hear anything? No, I did not.
I I know I can do this in D&D. Do I believe them? This seems very odd, I guess, just given this is not my normal checkup for a small child.
Based on the observation check, yeah, they seem on the level. You don't think there's anything out of the ordinary from their responses so far. They do seem very nervous when you say you're hearing the laughter of children.
Johann,
Yeah.
I noticed that you just got there's a new piece of farm equipment out front.
He nods.
Wouldn't you normally store that in the barn? I feel like leaving it out in the open air where it can be subject to the elements would be not great for the continued maintenance of your equipment.
Well, I was planning on getting it out into the field and taking it for its first run, but that was right around when Lottie got sick. You don't think the steam engine could be related, do you?
Well, this just seems very odd. These bite marks, and he again will show, is like...
They are both shocked they haven't seen these.
Allegedly.
Well, I guess to the shocked face, like, but this is your daughter. We've
been checking her. We've been making sure she's all right. We have not noticed these before.
A question more about the arrangement of the house. Is this kind of a single large room dwelling, or are there other rooms?
There are other rooms. So there's one very large central kitchen, and then there are a couple of side rooms from there. So there's a pantry off to the side. There's a bedroom for them. There's a bedroom for Lottie.
I'd like to go. Can I inspect the girl's room? That's where you found her, right? When she wouldn't wake up. Let me take a look in there. Maybe we might find something there.
Of course, of course. Dr. Jensen steps into the small room and looks around. It's simple and rustic, with a small child's bed, a drawer of clothes, and a cat sprawled in a sunbeam. Johann steps into the room to help, while Agatha watches from the doorway. You search, but you see no signs of rodents or insects, even when you move the bed and the dresser.
I guess I will...
Does Lucius go to check anything else from his bag, maybe grabbing his stethoscope or anything like that?
Yeah, I would go back to the main kitchen room and just start trying to, with as much candlelight or daylight as I can, check her pupils.
Yep. So there are some large windows in here, so it's easily able to get Johann and Agatha's help to move the cot over so you can get natural light on her. However, are you using any kind of device to check her pupils?
Probably.
Like you might have a small mirror or something.
I guess.
Okay.
It was mostly just to check to see and then as rudimentary as it might be, just to see if there's any sign of shock. So if, cover her eyes, do her eyes dilate and then reconstrict, or do they stay?
They do. And her eyes are moving around a little bit, kind of looking left and right when you open up the eyelid.
I guess I will.
Sorry, did you say you were grabbing something from the bag?
Stethoscope to check her pulse, or to hear her heart and or her breathing.
You go to open up your bag, and you're quite sure you left it open, but it's closed.
That's when I went. I did. When I went to the daughter's room, was it only Johann that followed me, or did both the parents?
Agatha was standing in the doorway. Johann walked in the room with you to help you with anything that you needed. Your bag was probably like 5-6 feet away from him.
Yeah, the more towards where the girl was.
When you go to open it, it's shut. And you realize it's actually been glued shut. There's like horsehide glue that is smeared across it and is hardened. Like you have to basically like rip this thing to get it open again.
Lucius will start Lucius will look visibly annoyed. Oh, okay. What's going on here?
What do you mean?
I will hold up my bag and
How did that happen?
I would expect you or your wife to tell me, sir. I come here on the pretense of helping your child. I come into your home and there are clear signs that I feel like any parent should notice about their child if they are watching after them, visible easily on their hands and feet. I'm hearing odd noises coming from various parts of your house, and now, after I leave the room to go take a look to see what I might be able to discern in your child's room, I find my bag is now glued shut. So I ask again, what is going on here? What is this? Some sort of elaborate hoax? What is this?
They both kind of stare at you with their mouths hanging slightly open. I couldn't have done anything to that bag. I was standing in the room with you.
So Lucius will then look at his wife. And you?
Agatha just slowly shakes her head. I was standing in the doorway. And you notice, and I won't even make you roll again for this one, she has a rosary in hand now, and is slowly clicking away at it, almost as a nervous gesture.
I will ask one more time, and then I will bid you all a good day. There is clearly something that's being hidden from me here. What is going on?
Sir, you have to believe me. I have no idea what is happening in this house. All I know is my daughter is sick, and she needs help. She needs help from a man of science. Whatever strangeness we are being afflicted by, I do not know it. I have not experienced anything like this in my life. I would not have sought you out for any hoax or prank. I need you to help my daughter. And he does look genuine. He looks a little panicked, but he looks like he needs you.
You had mentioned that it took considerable force to reopen the bag. Are all the implements that I would expect to be there still there, or
everything is still there exactly like you laid it out, but it's like someone glued your bag shut.
Okay. Yeah, I will. For the moment, Lucius will just. All right. You and your wife, please sit at the table on the far side.
They're happy to do whatever you want.
He will put his bag down next to the daughter. He'll move a chair next to the cot with the daughter. So he's hoping that there is at least probably like 6 feet.
Yeah.
Basically enough room.
This is a roomy kitchen for a well-to-do farm, so you've got some space.
Just enough room that if anyone to make a lunge or something, it'd be very noticeable.
Oh yeah, you could definitely do that.
I will still pull out my stethoscope to listen to the heartbeat and then the breathing of the daughter.
Can I get a learning test from you?
Okay. Hey, 2 out of 6.
Okay. You spend several hours trying different treatments, looking into things, running tests. The parents have been very respectful of the distance you've asked them to keep. They've got some food out for you and have basically like set it at the far end of the table and are just like watching you work. After these hours, as evening is just starting to fall, you have come to realize something. Your treatments aren't working, but they should be. This girl should be responsive, and she should be waking up. You are startled from your reverie by a sudden knock at the farmhouse door. Agatha turns almost expectantly and then looks back to you and Johann. I'm sorry, I had to summon the library.
The what?
Johann sighs. This is very disappointing. We don't need any kind of hocus pocus or superstition. We need science and facts.
What does a library have to do with any of this? What library comes to you?
Agatha looks at you again, then says, I will introduce you. And she quickly bustles over to the door and opens it. And 3 figures are standing there. Julian Benavides, Sophie Ingesdottir, and they are accompanied by a sometimes associate of the libraries, Father Jack Bjorn Mayhew. Phoenix, can you describe what Julian looks like?
Sure. Yeah. In front of you, you see a young man, looks to be in his very early 20s, slightly browned skin, very smooth features, and he is dressed to the nines. An absolute dandy, if you will. Hair is kind of slicked back and off to the side in one direction, and he's holding a violin case on his left hand as well. As he sees you, he gives an exaggerated, sweeping bow, and someone called for the library, I see.
Aaron, what does Sophie look like?
Sophie is tall and sort of statuesque, you might say, and she's not dressed in anything fancy, but fairly well-made clothes, but nothing expensive or extravagant. And she's got auburn hair that's in a braid over her shoulder, and she looks
very put together.
Almost. She looks very collected and also pretty kind and caring looking person.
And behind the two of them is a priest who looks a lot more like a prize fighter. His nose has been broken in several places and healed and kind of crooked. His hair is cut very, very short, and he's got a few scars on his face and pretty badly cauliflowered ears. And he's carrying a large carpet bag over one shoulder. How does Lucius respond to these guests?
These are librarians? This looks like a hodgepodge of stereotypes.
Who need a doctor?
I guess I might understand a priest, and he will kind of reference to Sophie, or maybe another person of learning. I don't. Are we playing a farewell song? Is that what I? Who are these people?
Don't sell Julian short. He has many, many skills. You have no idea.
I incline my head over to Sophie and again kind of turn back to this new doctor and just give him a big smile. Yes, well, there are many things that we look into that may be beyond the scope of some. Don't worry, we can't all be experts in everything.
Right.
We'll take it from here.
Agatha looks back and forth between Dr. Jensen and the agents of the library, and then says, "Ever since my husband bought that steam plow, strange things have been happening around our farm. And then Lottie grew sick when she went near the earthen mounds at the far back end near the woods. I don't think it is a natural sickness." And Johann scoffs. "We have one of the finest doctors possible, who has just set up in the area, and you are calling in superstitious people?"
Why didn't you tell me about what earthen mounds? If your daughter was sick near something out in the field, we should go take a look. Why didn't you tell me this before?
I didn't think you would believe it.
Doctor, you're absolutely right. We should go take a look, but perhaps you should stay behind us.
Are you going to play it a ditty? I don't understand.
If that's what the situation calls for, I may. Until then, listen to the lady. She knows what she's talking about.
Fools on every side of me. My God. Fine.
I look to every side of him.
Father Bjorn, would you, do you think you should have a look at the young lady, before we head out, since it seems we already have a clue as to what's happening here?
He kind of shifts around the carpet bag and pulls out the letter that Agatha sent. The two of you had been doing some investigation in the library, having old Agda pull books for you based on what was described in this letter. And the good news is, you are 99% sure you know what's going on here. Those earthen mounds that are at the back of the property near the woods are very likely a lair of fairies. And they are likely upset by the arrival of the steam plow. At this point, they will not be able to be settled or pacified. They need to be removed for this girl to recover. And the only way to do so is to blow into their lair with a bellows that has been blessed by a priest. Thus the reason the group brought along Father Jack.
Have we brought a bellows as well?
It's in his carpet bag.
Outstanding.
You're always so prepared, Father Bjorn. I just love that about you.
You're the one who told them to bring it.
Well, still, didn't necessarily have a carpet bag big enough for that, but he did.
Yeah, well,
It helps when you travel around a lot.
absolutely. So much you can learn by traveling. Don't you think, Doctor?
Dr. Jensen, was it?
Yes. Lucius, he will turn to the father, Dr. Lucius Jensen. He'll kind of give a formal little nod, bow towards the father.
He'll offer a hand to you. Do you shake hands with him or just leave him hanging?
Lucius would shake hands with the father.
He's one of those guys with like a big meaty grip. His hands are sort of like the size of dinner plates.
Pleasure to meet you, Father.
As the two of you are shaking hands and are pretty close to each other, he leans in a little. I don't suppose you've seen anything odd here, have you?
Well, seen anything odd? No. There has been odd occurrences since I've been here that make me question some of the sincerity of my being here. And Lucius will explain about he'll focus primarily on the horse glue on his bag, but then he will also mention the sound of, or he'll
the
point out
buzzing and the laughing of children,
the sound of the kind of the flying of bugs or the laughing of children, and then he will note the physical conditions of the daughter that he has found so far.
Father Bjorn gives a long look to Sophie and Julian and kind of gives a little nod. This is certainly something that's going to be strange, but we tend to deal with things in the realm of the strange.
Father, if you'll forgive me, this seems to be more something. This is an illness. This isn't something a crisis of faith, or I still don't understand why he'll just gesture to all three. You all are here.
That's all right. You don't need to understand yet.
You should come with us.
Come along. You will.
Are you both sure about that? If he comes with us, there's no going back. He can't unsee whatever he sees.
I mean, having a doctor on call, Sophie, it's not a... Kind of eyes you. Kind of gives his little side eye over to Lucius.
It's a little bit selfish, but I can't disagree with you.
Lucius will kind of roll his eyes. Look, these are dirt mounds. I don't mean to be braggart, but I have seen many fields of battle, many horrors and atrocities of war. I feel like a farm and or dirt mounds are something I can handle.
That's the spirit.
Father Bjorn lays a hand on your shoulder and looks you in the eye squarely. and gets very serious. Do you want to help this girl?
That's why I'm here.
Then come with us. What we're doing is going to help.
Fine, let's... I will follow your lead then.
GM, I have a question.
Yes?
In our preparations, so I don't want to cross one mythos with another. In terms of fairies, would we know anything about like weak to iron, steel, something like that? Or is that not a thing?
That is something that is much more with Celtic fairies.
Okay.
With Nordic fairies, they tend to be mischievous and like pranks, but if offended, will lay curses or magic upon things, and have been also known to drink blood from fingertips. There are also, very similar to fairies, elves, which are very, very tiny creatures who look like old men and sometimes ride upon squirrels or weasels.
I am going to say then, as part of this is going to be very silly, but I wonder if it might work. As part of our preparation then, Julian has loaded his shotgun with a cartridge that is full of confetti.
Fantastic. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes. It's just a precaution.
Yep. So the four of you start heading out into the back pastures. The mounds that they described are way, way in the back of the farm. So you've got a little bit of a walk to get out there, but it's just around dusk, so you've still got some light to see by. You first pass by the barns where the paddocks are, and there is still one lone cow that is hanging out munching on grass.
Does it have
looks
a
up.
bell? Oh, I'm sorry.
Of course it does. It's a cow. This lone cow looks up and makes direct eye contact with Sophie.
Oh.
How is she feeling about the previous investigation?
She definitely stops for a minute and just sort of stares and like cocks her head trying to listen to see if she hears any music. She's definitely been thinking even more than usual about her mother, and also trying really hard to sort of remember the things from before she moved to America and from when she was, under like 10 years old, and all those kind of the folklore and stuff that she learned when she was there. So
the cow kind of looks at you with these placid, just cow eyes, just chewing away on some cud and some grass. Cock your head just a little bit to the side and trying to hear if there's any songs on the wind. You can't be sure whether it's your imagination or if there's just the few most delicate notes.
She might start to wander off a little bit, and Julian will have to like kind of grab her hand and sort of pull her back into the group.
Hey, Sophie, this way. You all right?
You didn't hear it?
Did I hear it?
You didn't hear anything at all?
Julian looks around, and
who's got a bell and it rings occasionally.
For Dr. Lucius, Julian's demeanor has suddenly taken a much more serious tone as Sophie describes hearing music, and he's just kind of looking all around to see if he can spot anything.
Nothing. You don't hear anything? Any songs on the wind? Anything out of the ordinary?
Okay. Father Bjorn, as my friend from up north taught me, pitter patter. Let's get going.
Makes sense to me. Say, Julian.
Yeah.
That is a mighty fine jacket you have on. It looks brand new. Is that a new one?
Julian beams at somebody noticing his shiny new coat. Well, yes, it is. I had it custom made. I'm so glad you noticed.
Thinking back on that tragically lost coat,
Mm.
is there anything Julian wishes he could have done differently during the last investigation?
Oh. He thinks about the confrontation in the bar and kind of freezing up before running out on his comrades. And kind of thinking back to that just kind of makes him wince a little bit, and wishes he could have done better back at the bar.
You're getting close to your destination now. Dr. Lucius Jensen, what are your thoughts on these strange characters? Are you curious about what they might actually know or be doing here, or are you dismissive or disbelieving of them? Have they piqued your curiosity at all? Or does this seem like rural folk superstition to you?
Lucius is unsure. He feels a bit perturbed because there are 3 other people here who claim they know what's going on, when clearly there is a sick daughter in the farmhouse and we are going to investigate dirt mounds. And he's also still a little bit perturbed at both the parents for, again, not disclosing things they thought or noticed with the daughter, any activities that would have led to her being in this current state.
Mm-hmm.
He is uneasy about the father because his instinct is a man of the church is usually someone of upstanding
Character?
Yes, upstanding character in a community, and someone to be usually respected and possibly revered, but not someone you usually openly dismiss because they, while doctors provide medical healing, priests can provide a sort of soothing of the mind for people when they feel the world is just too much. And Lucius is not so callous as to not see the benefit in that. He does not know what to make of Sophie. She seems to be a lady who values knowledge and learning, but why? And most certainly would fit in a library setting, but
you.
not sure why she's here. Julian reminds him of the more as Lucius kind of the description was, kind of the more dandy person from back home, the people who are often talkers, that they like to sit and chat and expound and talk till your face goes blue, and then doesn't do much beyond that. And after Lucius's experience in the world, those folks are rarely someone you can depend on, let alone someone that you would call in for an ailing child. So he does not know what to make of this. He is slightly annoyed, and he feels like this is some sort of ruse, almost. Maybe he's being quiet and observe and trying to be
watchful of him.
Yes, just because at this point he does not know what to expect next, and he doesn't feel like anyone that he has been interacting with so far has been truthful with him or completely honest with him. So he doesn't know what to make of this.
Can I?
Do you think that's something we would notice about you, as like just as far as like your demeanor?
In terms of like him being annoyed, absolutely. He is not. He is not
hiding it well.
He's not a very.
It's like you can see it on his face when he's annoyed with you.
Yes, it's very hard for him to hide that.
Can Sophie do something that's a little bit comedic, but
always?
So as the doctor is glancing over at Sophie and thinking, like, well, she seems like she'd be, not out of place in like a library or something. Sophie, she doesn't even stop walking. She just, as they're walking, she hitches up her skirt and reaches into her under, like the white, like
her petticoats.
Yeah, like the petticoats underneath. And you realize that there's a bunch of pockets in the bottom of her petticoats. And she just like casually, as they're walking, like reaches down in there and rummages a little bit. And then she pulls out a book. And I'm assuming that as we're walking out here, we have like a lantern or something like that. And she just quickly like flips through it and checks something and like mumbles something to Father Bjorn. And he like nods about, like what we've been studying back at the library. And then she's like, okay. And then she puts the book back and like straightens her skirts out and just keeps walking.
If she were to look at Lucius, you would see an expression of like shock or like a surprise, I guess. This is not something he would expect a
classy lady to do.
Be pulling a book out from underneath her petticoats.
Yeah, just want you to know what you're dealing with here.
Not that her having a book is unusual, just the manner of which, and the nonchalant manner, I guess, of it is.
Oh, you don't even know the half of it.
You thought she was classy. There's your first mistake.
She's got trousers under the skirt. It's even crazier.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so you get out to this back field. There's a little bit of clover that's been planted in the area. Then there is a couple of rows of wheat. And then back past that, you see a few bales of hay. You see a little bit of a mud wallow. And then there is a large earthen mound. Father Bjorn kind of shifts the carpet bag around and pulls out what looks like a heavy-duty blacksmith's bellows. Then he sprinkles a little bit of water from a small bottle and quietly says the Lord's Prayer over them.
As he's doing this, with Julian having noticed that our new friend here is seeming annoyed and uncomfortable, and also picking up from some of the conversation from Father Bjorn as we were walking as well, he just kind of walks over, stands next to Dr. Lucius. Seems weird, right?
Yes. This all seems ridiculous. What is back here?
You're a learned man, are you not?
Yes.
You ever do much reading? Poetry?
Never quite fit the situations never found time to quite fit it into my busy schedule.
Julian kind of wraps an arm, standing next to you, kind of wraps an arm around your shoulder, holds out his opposite hand in front of him. And you see, Dr. Lucius, there are more things on heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your religion. I know this might look weird. Kind of points over to Sophie. She knows what she's doing. Give it a minute. I kind of lean back a little bit and just look him straight in the eye, bat my eyelashes, and just smile.
You just see kind of this stern, expressionless like face. He's not mad, but he doesn't look exactly amused.
The girl bites on her fingertips?
Yes, and on her feet. Look to be rodents or insects.
Oh, come now. You know what insect bites look like. And I kind of again turn over to Sophie and Father Bjorn as he's kind of getting things ready. They know what they're doing.
You get an exasperated sigh. Fine.
Are there charm rolls in this game? There should be. We have a bard. Come on, give us a charm roll.
I don't even know what the charm roll would be here.
Roll for eyelashes.
How does Lucius react to Julian kind of having this arm draped around his shoulders?
He is not comfortable with it. You will feel kind of he doesn't shift out of Julian's grasp, but you feel his like shoulder shift as soon as like you kind of put a hand on it.
As soon as he delivers his little mini soliloquy, he releases.
Lucius just shakes his head. I look forward to seeing what you can show me with this mound of dirt.
And as soon as you finish saying that, Father Bjorn was just standing up, saying, "Amen." And Dr. Jensen, you suddenly hear a loud buzzing, like of hummingbird wings.
And
then
look around to see if I can identify.
Suddenly, there is a thick cloud of dust that is blown into your face. Your eyes begin to water, and you see shapes where there were none before. A swarm of tiny creatures flying through the air. Their bodies looking feminine, but with insect-like wings and flowing antennae. A swarm of them goes flying towards the father, who stumbles back, swatting at them in the air, and he drops the bellows to the ground. Bill, can I get an observation test from you?
Oh boy!
You're good at those, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, 1 of 2.
Nice.
That's how it's done.
All right. Suddenly, things around you start changing. Nothing looks quite right. And where once was a farm, you begin to see battlefields.
Oh no.
Oh, crud.
So you are affected by a supernatural fairy dust, Bill.
Oh.
You are seeing battlefields, shattered cannon, fallen horses and soldiers, broken banners, cast aside muskets, semi-recent rifles. It's like you're back in Virginia.
What in the 7 hells? What? He'll paw at his face. What? Do I still see Julian and Sophie?
You can. But it's almost like everything is being superimposed with these horrific scenes around you.
What was that? What? Some sort of hallucinogen. What did you do to me? What is that? What?
And you can see a swarm of fairies buzzing in front of you. Bill, can I get a fear test from you? As you are seeing these horrifying battlefields, a fear test is going to be either empathy, probably not, or logic, probably yes.
Yes.
+2 because of the number of allies who are in the same zone as you.
Okay. Logic it is. 3 out of 7.
Holy shit.
Bam!
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. This guy can't be part of
I
our
don't
team.
think-
He's
yeah.
way too good at this game.
Sorry, Bill. It's not going to work
No,
out.
you're out. You're
Gotta
out.
re-roll. All right. It's been fun, guys. I'll be back next week.
Clearly a witch.
Oh, I hope not. We know witches hang out with Julian.
Uh-huh.
So, there has to be a reasonable explanation for this. You've experienced horrific events before. You've experienced traumatic events before. You have survived them. It has been fine. Your mind is like a well-oiled machine. As much as this is something unnatural, and a part of you in the back of your mind has to acknowledge something is supernatural about this. But you compartmentalize that. That's for later. Right now, you know you have to find a way to move forward. And while you're seeing this horrific battlefield site, when you're sure you've survived, you're able to pick out little details such that you're sure you can move around in the place where you were seeing before.
Okay.
So you are in full control of yourself. You do not get any mental conditions from that fear effect. We're going to load up some initiative. So Sophie gets to go first, then the fairies, Julian, and then Lucius. Sophie, what are you going to do? Father Bjorn has been knocked backwards and is swatting at a swarm of fairies who are mobbing him and biting at him. He's dropped the bellows next to you.
Will you, my magnanimous GM, allow me to make a ranged attack? Hear me out. Make a ranged attack against the fairies, not with my pistol, but with Yorks.
You're going to throw a cat at them.
I'm going to throw a cat at Father Bjorn and have him try to get some of the fairies off of him.
When in doubt, yeet the cat.
It's unprecedented. I will allow you to throw a cat with, I'm going to say, a -1 penalty.
Oh, no.
Because cats are not an accurate weapon.
Yorts hasn't been trained for this?
Well, I'm not going to literally throw the cat. I'm going to say, hey, Yorts, look, there's buggies. And Yorts is going to be like, oh, I'm allowed to eat these ones, and go to town. So I'm not actually throwing,
Yeah, you're sending Yorts in a general direction.
Correct.
You're putting Yorts into play.
Yes.
I am going to say that this is a empathy roll. Not even a manipulation roll, just a straight getting Yorts to do a thing roll.
Okay. Do I get any advantage from any of the many things that I have?
He is technically a memento, but that does not provide a bonus here.
Okay, that's fair. All right, let's see what happens. Hey, 1 success on 4 dice. Get him, Yorts.
So you point back at Father Bjorn and tell Yorts that he should do his thing. He looks very confused, and then one of the fairies flies too close to his face, and he just smacks the shit out of it.
Yep.
And then just looks delighted as only a cat can by doing violence.
Yeah.
And just goes prowling after him to go jumping at these things out of the air. It looks like it may take a little bit of time, but that may help Father Bjorn get free.
Okay, great. I will go and pick up the bellows.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really do anything with it this round, but just in case I need to sort of,
I would say you could pass it off to a friend or toss it into another zone.
Okay. I'll toss that over there towards Julian and Lucius and, see if you can help Father Bjorn with this. I don't really use the bellows very much, but you've got bigger muscles than me, Julian.
I arch a very well-groomed eyebrow at you.
Between the two of them, Lucius actually is the tougher-looking guy with the stronger physique.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so that's Sophie's turn. The fairies are up. They look quite cross with you, especially with all of this sending cats to do your work. And they hiss from this kind of cloud of swirling, angry fairies.
Oh,
no. Rude. And they all start pointing at Sophie.
Oh, are they casting hideous laughter on me? I mean,
not quite. Wrong game. Can I get a force test from Sophie? Her super good stat that she's very good at.
Really great at that.
Use the force, Sophie.
Hey, 1 success on 2 dice, bitches. Let's go.
That is pretty
good. You guys are setting a really high standard for my first roll of the night.
I know, buddy. I know.
It's a shame they got 2 successes.
How dare they?
So 2 things happened to Sophie.
Oh, no.
The first is there is a cold feeling that starts crawling from her shoulder across her collarbone. And then your leg feels suddenly wobbly. And Sophie, your left leg has shrunk down to the leg of a cat.
Oh! Oh no! This is terrible. Oh boy. Wow.
You now have been afflicted by the Trollcraft curse, animal parts, and one of your limbs has been transformed into a cat's leg.
Oh,
It feels real weird having suddenly a digitigrade leg.
that's creepy.
Yup.
Just for flavor, after this,
Mhm.
as soon as this happens, Sophie is gonna not collapse, but she probably almost collapses anyway, but she's gonna kneel or
Mhm.
go to the ground and immediately start ruffling through her books in her skirts to see if she can find something to do about this. Sorry, guys, you're on your own. I gotta do some research right quick.
Julian.
Yeah. So I catch the bellows that Sophie had tossed over. I look over to Dr. Lucius, kind of put both of my hands up on his, kind of on his shoulders while I'm facing him. Yeah, you're not imagining this. This is really happening. Here's what we're going to do. And I shove the bellows into his hands and point him over at the mound.
Mhm.
This needs to go there. Blow it into the into the burrow. Don't ask questions right now. Now is the time to do this. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Are you wearing a hat by any chance?
I am not.
That's a shame. Okay. I am going to. This might be incredibly stupid, but it's what I'm doing because this is, Sophie taught us all about fairies and what they like and they don't like. And so I, oh, my beautiful new jacket, I'm going to take it off, throw it up into the air in front of me. Something I do before that is after I have given Dr. Lucius the bellows, is I go down into the violin case and retrieve a shotgun.
All right. Now, drawing a weapon is a fast action.
Okay.
So that would be one of your two fast actions. You still have one available for dodging and parrying.
Okay. And then what I'd like to do is to just throw my coat up into the air and shoot it with the glitter cartridge or the confetti cartridge that I had packed into the shotgun. As I call out, "Ole!"
Are you shooting at the fairies or just shooting your coat?
I am shooting towards the coat.
What is Julian's goal here?
This is a prank. I'm hoping to get them on my side.
Oh,
Okay. I am going to have you make a manipulation roll, I think, for this.
Okay, here we go.
You
What could
got
possibly go wrong?
You're allegedly good at those.
I am allegedly good at these things. Okay. That is one success on, count 'em, 9 dice.
All right.
At least you're consistent, Phoenix.
Consistent would have been a 0, but go on.
You don't know for sure whether that has endeared you to the fairies, or pardon me, the other way around, endeared the fairies to you, but they are very interested in you now. They seem bored with Sophie, and they are paying a very close attention to Julia.
Yeah, they already turned me into a half a cat.
May I push that roll?
You may.
Oh my god. Phoenix.
There we go.
All right.
That's an additional 2 successes on 8 dice for a total of 3.
Nice.
They giggle and laugh and are now fascinated by you.
I will give myself the frightened condition as I have achieved my plan, and now I'm like, oh shit, now what?
Oh crap.
Oh, good news, everybody, it worked!
It worked. That's as far as I've gotten on this plan.
All right. And Dr. Jensen, what are you going to do? You've just had a set of blacksmith's bellows forced into your hands.
And the individual that did it just tossed his apparently new beloved jacket into the air and shot it with what I thought was a gun and appears to be confetti.
It
I
was
don't know.
absolutely a gun, but was stuffed with confetti.
I have no idea if I am imagining this along with the battlefield or if this is actually happening in front of me.
Yeah,
I,
you
I
asked a moment ago, does Julian know what he's doing? There's your answer.
but I am forced to conclude I have no idea. This is far beyond anything I've ever experienced, and I guess I'm going to listen to my new compatriots here. I will move with the bellows up into the wheat field area.
Okay. So that uses up your slow action. Or pardon, that uses up your fast action to move. It is not technically in the rules, but we can say for purposes of at least this, and we'll come back to it later and examine, you can use your slow action to move further if you'd like.
Yeah. Now I see I have the options between hay bales and mud wallow.
Mm-hmm.
Are both options equidistant, or is moving through one be faster?
They're both one zone away from where you're at. Effectively, they are the same amount of distance for you.
Then he will continue on to the hay bales. He does
Okay.
not want to. He does not want to go trapezing through mud.
So just for clarification, when Father Bjorn got the bellows out, he didn't actually do anything. The fairies came out before.
Correct. He did finish blessing them, though.
Okay, gotcha.
So he did the blessing, but then before he can really start moving towards the mound, he got suddenly swarmed by these fairies.
Right, okay.
All right, and we're at the top of the initiative.
Oh, shit.
Back to Sophie, who has
Cat strats,
one human leg and one cat leg.
So I was kind of joking before, but can I actually think of a way to fix this?
You can, as a slow action, make a learning test.
Okay. I could do that. No, I can't. That's 0 successes on 8 dice.
You have a cat leg forever now.
I am back to my usual. I'm going to push that roll, because fuck it.
So feel free to re-roll that.
Okay. So she's
using... So yeah, you're scrambling, you're looking through things, you're trying to search for these.
And now she's got a mental condition? Oh,
yep.
She's angry. These little motherfuckers. Kill them all, Yorts. Eat every last one. This is so irritating. Yorts, how do you survive like this?
You're undermining my work, Sophie. Shut up.
He just jumps up and bites one.
I mean, I don't have any. Yeah, I'm just here.
Any fast action from Sophie? You could still move.
I can't take a fast action.
You could still move.
I'm very slow because I have one cat leg.
And 2 arms. You could crawl places.
That's just demeaning. I'm not gonna... No, what am I gonna do if I get closer to the fairies? What good is that gonna do me? It's not.
Sophie's just gonna sit down and angrily groom herself.
Can I... Yeah. I got nothing.
Okay. The swarm of fairies are all swirling around and use their fast action to head into the field of clover, flying around Julian.
This is fine.
The creatures are looking at him with a mix of kind of elated excitement and an undercurrent of almost hungry anticipation. And they all begin clapping their tiny little hands and cheering, "Make him one! Make him one! Make him one!"
Oh no.
Can I get a force check from Julian?
Sure. That'll be great.
Boy.
It's going to be good.
That's one of your specialties, right?
No, it isn't. I will go ahead and push that one.
Okay.
As that is 0 success on a whole 3 dice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's 0 successes on the next 3 dice. I believe I am going to end up battered here, so I will give myself that condition.
So you look around at these swirling swarm of fairies, and it seems like they're getting bigger. And then you look over at Sophie, and she's getting bigger. And you look
my
at that
God.
stalks of wheat, and it looks like a forest.
Oh, yeah.
And you realize you're shrinking. You're getting smaller
This is fine.
and smaller. Soon, you're almost the same size they are.
Can I use my latent fast action to yell at Dr. Lucius and just be like, hurry! You have to hurry!
Yelling is always a free action.
Okay, great.
So you absolutely can do that. And Julian, it is your turn.
All right. Well, my thinking on this is, I mean, it kind of worked. I got their attention. This is fine. And, I'm just going to try to keep them occupied without, mortally wounding myself, even though I'm tiny. So I am going to. So I had laid down the violin case to take out the shotgun. I'm going to run over to it in my tiny little wee form, and as best as I can, I am going to and I see myself kind of crawling up the edge of the case, jumping onto the bowstrings or onto the strings, and I'm going to try literally using both hands to pluck them one at a time. I am going to attempt my raunchiest ballad from the saloon.
Make an inspiration test.
Oh
For
my
fuck's
God!
sake, that is 0 successes on
Fucking
5
hell.
dice, which of course I will push.
Man, you weren't
Because
kidding.
why
Phoenix.
not? What's that?
You weren't kidding.
No. Okay, so that's 1 success on 5 dice, and I will give myself. I am now frightened and a little angry because I cannot get the chords quite right because I can't reach the freaking strings properly. But I'm hoping it's enough to again just kind of keep their attention until our new friend can do what he needs to do.
They are fascinated by you now.
Oh, this is great.
So Lucius, from where you are over by these hay bales, you just hear ding, 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 ding from a violin. Like someone is plucking one individual string after another.
But if I turn around, all I see is Sophie sitting on the ground.
Sophie on the ground. Yep.
And I'm assuming
and this swirl of fairies, who are over Julian's open violin case, but he seems to be gone, which, he's got a reputation for. Disappearing in the middle of battle again.
Ooh.
Ouch!
Lucius doesn't know, but man, ouch.
All right. Anything else from Julian?
You cut me deep there, GM. You cut me deep.
So what I'm here for. I inflict emotional damage.
Anything else from Julian? No, he is just going to again try to keep them.
You have their
occupied.
attention. It's very on you now.
Yeah, no, this is I call out in my tiny little voice in between lines of the song. I got him right where we wanted, Sophie.
Good job, Julian.
Yeah, I got him right where we want him, Sophie.
Lucius, you're up. However, as you take a quick moment to catch your breath, having been rushing through this wheat field, knocking wheat aside, those visions that you had earlier start changing and shifting. The ground begins to kind of heave underneath you. And Lucius Jensen is sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that bulging, twisting earth is from the hundreds and hundreds of bodies buried just inches below that soil, clawing and shifting their way up.
Oh, and these bellows how are these bellows going to help? He'll take one we'll take one more look back and see Sophie and the fairies. Okay. Julian said this needed to go here. The father was blessing or doing something to there must be a reason why he's going to press forward and continue to move towards the fairy mound despite his
misgivings,
inclinations otherwise.
All right, can I get a force test from you?
Sure.
God, please don't let our rolls have rubbed off on him.
Here we go. Hey, okay, I got 1 success out of 6.
All right, and that is actually enough. As you're looking at this like earthen mound, you realize there are all of these tiny openings on it, as if it's covered in little terraces that you had not been able to notice from a distance before. It looks like it has like almost elaborate little staircases that have been carved into the sides.
Now I feel bad.
You also have a cat leg.
No, but...
You push the bellows in and give them a strong heave, and this air is blown through there. And with a whoosh, suddenly all of that horror and the ground moving beneath you is blown away as if by a massive wind. The fairies go howling forward, flying towards the mound all as one, flying into those tiny windows and then flying out through the back of it. Julian, you go stumbling back up and out of your violin case. Again, the size of a normal Julian Benavides.
Oh, there once was a man from Nantucket. Oh!
Sophie, you feel suddenly stable, like you're on both legs again. Your body having changed back. And everything is still and quiet.
How's Father Bjorn? Is he okay?
He has his hands on his knees, just catching his breath. He's covered in tiny bite marks. And then he leans one of his hands down and kind of ruffles Yortz's shoulders. And then gives you all like a thumbs up while he's catching his breath.
Well, Julian?
I am going to nod over at Sophie, give her a smile, and start running over toward Dr. Lucius. As I get there, I am going to sweep him up in a big hug.
He is I'm assuming you're coming over like in like big embrace out.
Oh yeah, this is the slow-mo through the fields, arms spread wide.
So as soon as you get within arm's reach, he's just going to put one hand square in your chest just to stop you. Just what in the seven hells is going on here?
As I've got a hand planted in my chest, take a step back, pick it up with my hand, and give it a little kiss. You were fantastic.
Really magnificent, Dr. Lucian, really.
Well done.
Lucius.
Not everyone handles themselves as well in their first encounter. Yes, we saw them too.
You saw the battlefield, the corpses.
Were we seeing that, or we weren't seeing any of that?
You didn't see that, but you saw the fairies, and you also saw them blow some kind of dust into his face. There's still a few lingering traces of like a pinkish dust around his nostrils.
Yeah, so again, I kind of try to. Julian's love language is touch, and so he, again tries to kind of put a hand out onto your shoulder. Well, I didn't see that, but it's always a little bit different for everyone. Just a few weeks ago, I thought I saw my father, and it was horrible. That's not the point. You did well. How do you feel? How many fingers am I holding up? I am just putting my middle finger in front of him.
Julian's an ass.
You will catch the slightest of smirks in the corner of his mouth. Because if nothing else, the rudeness at least lets Lucius know this is at least more or less reality. I
Sophie has come up behind Julian and she's got her handkerchief out and she's just kind of trying to dust the fairy dust off of the doctor's face.
If you're wiping something off his face, he, not as like bluntly with Julian, but he will like reach out and take your arm and then but take the handkerchief and go, wait, what is this? What is this like? And he'll point to the discoloration, I'm assuming, on the handkerchief.
It's fairy dust, Doctor. And I can't say that I've actually ever been under the effects of that. So that's a first. I don't know that Julian has either. So that's quite interesting. I'd like to talk to you about your experience after we get done here.
Yeah, I'm kind of attempting to pet Yortz as you're describing this over to him. Yes, it was perplexing.
Julian, shut up. You don't even know what happened. You be quiet.
Lucius will look more bewildered. The bewilderment's more taken over than his annoyance. I'm assuming if he's looking at both your faces, this is that you are expressing things in earnest to him.
100%.
I don't even know what to make of any of this. This is confounding. Nothing in my life could explain what just happened in the last hour.
Father Bjorn steps up behind the rest of the group. If you want to know more, there's an organization that you might want to talk to some of the folks at. It's here in Ballard. It's called the Library of Metaphysical Knowledge in Defense of Mankind. Or more commonly, the library.
And
I promise you, they can answer questions that you got.
You handle things like this, and he'll point to the dirt mound.
Well, I mean, this was a first for me as far as, but
Yes,
yes, that is what we do.
And almost like he looks like the proverbial light bulb went on. He got smacked in the back of the head. He's like, wait, is this saved the farmer's daughter?
Well, you're the doctor.
We should go back and, double check, but yes, it should have.
Then Lucius has found something tangible to
kind of grasp
his mind on. He will just thank you for instructing me on what to do. He'll hand the bellows back to Julian, and without waiting much, he will start just walking straight back to the farmhouse.
And the four of you head in that direction and are very quickly able to hear the sounds of laughter and just celebrating coming from the center room of the farmhouse. As soon as you get close, the door flies open and Johann and Agatha come out carrying Lottie between them, just laughing and crying. Agatha comes running over to the group of you. I knew you could do it. I knew. I don't mean to disagree with my husband, but I knew the library would come through for us. Thank you. Thank you all. I must tell my brother that he was right about you. He's a former merchant marine. His name is Stefan Oscarsson. He's looking for work right now, but if there is anything you ever needed, he would be there for you, for the people who saved his niece.
Do we know her brother? Have we heard that name before?
You haven't.
Okay.
But people in Ballard know about the library. This is sort of a semi-secret society.
Yeah, sure.
Lucius will kind of sidestep the mother and go, do you mind, I'd like to check your daughter to make sure.
And she's bright-eyed and just kind of smiles up at you. Oh, hello.
And Lucius will just like, okay, hang on. And he'll like check her eyes, like look at her hand, just do the full, just kind of a...
It looks like there are still some bite marks on her fingers, on her feet, but it looks like they're healing up. Her fever is gone. Her breathing is easy. She's still very pale, but she has energy again and looks like she'll recover.
He'll ask basic medical, how are you
Mhm.
feeling? How like this? Are you hungry? Are you tired? All the stuff.
Yep.
Just to check.
Not feeling tired, super hungry, can't wait to dig into some dinner. Feels like she's been asleep for days.
Right. Okay. He'll look to the parents. This might sound ludicrous, but make sure she gets her rest. Don't overtax her. Keep an eye on her.
Johann nods enthusiastically and takes a moment to reach out and kind of squeeze your shoulder. You saved my daughter. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jensen.
I wish I can take credit for this, but he'll turn to the others. I don't know what this library is that you speak of. I don't know if I understand the society. I certainly don't know if I understand what just happened, but I want to understand how this helped her.
Julian kind of looks up. He's got his coat in his hand, and he's kind of sadly like poking a finger through some of the different holes that are now in it. Looks a little bit sad, but he looks up at you. You did good. He did good. Like kind of motion over to everyone else. He's the one who got him out of here.
And I believe the library has just gained a new member.
Yay!
Oh, are you in for a rough ride?
That was fun.
Yeah, I rolled far too well in this first instance.
Enjoy that hot streak now.
Uh-huh.
That's how I lure you in, is I make the dice do what I want.
You haven't enabled the Will Wheaton feature for my character yet.
Shit, spoilers.
You've seen it though, now haven't you?
All right, so I've got a last bit of narration for you as we wrap up. A few weeks later, Lucius is now fitting in at the library and has begun to regularly accompany you as you investigate things. And it is a working evening for Julian. The hour is growing quite late at Madame Lou's sporting house. Throughout the evening, clients have drifted in and then staggered out to the witty conversation and strong drink provided by the parlor house. Accompanying each guest has been the music of Julian Benavidez, either from his beloved fiddle or the ivory keys from the parlor piano. With the last few customers drifting off to sleep and waiting for the first light of day to see them on their way, the girls have gathered around him to share a small glass of schnapps and sing one last song to close out the night, interrupted only by their drunken laughter and occasional bawdy additions. A busty young blonde woman, whose working name is Brittany Javelina, leans over Julian's shoulder, taking the final lines of the song. The girls burst into fits of giggles, and the last notes of Julian's song lightly fade away. The girls slip back to the bar to get one last top off on their drinks. Julian flexes his hands and lowers the cover over the piano's keys, intending to call it a night fairly soon. However, this plan is quickly discarded when he sees the unsmiling face of Madame Lou's right-hand man. He's walking towards him out of the sporting house's back rooms. Chang-Hu isn't joining the festivities tonight. Instead, his jaw is set in a tight line, and his normally immaculate hair is ruffled. Before Julian can even ask what's wrong, Chang lightly places his hand on Julian's shoulder and leans in close to whisper for his ears alone. Miss Graham needs your help, not as our musician, but in your other jobs capacity. Please speak to your friends at the library and return when the girls have gone home later this morning. I can't say more right now, but we need you. He gives Julian a serious nod, and before Julian can even get a question out, he turns on a heel and walks towards the bar. Chang straightens his hair before laughing and saying in a jovial, if slightly forced tone, all right, let me pour you ladies one last drink. I know if I let you pour your own, you'll drink us all out of house and home. He spares one last meaningful glance towards Julian and gives the slightest nod towards the door. Does Julian head out?
Yes, and he does it very deliberately. There's none of his usual, sarcasm or joviality with this. If Madame Lou has said something is needing him, he is snapping to attention and is going to, as calmly as he can, without making a big to-do of it, but he is absolutely going to pack up and head out with all haste.
You get one last look from Chong as you head out the door, giving this very, very slight nod and inclination of his head. You can't help but think, he said they needed the help of your other job, which means there's something happening in the sporting house that requires the attention of the library. But we'll get to what that is next time.
I mean, it's probably just like a leaky faucet or something.
Good news! It's not. Thank you for listening to this episode of Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle. Our theme song is Myths and Legends by Robert Bruckmeyer, which is playing right now. Our music is by Andreas Lundström, and you can hear more of his work on the Sweden Rolls podcast. Link in the show notes. Our editor is Hannah Cheney. If you're enjoying this show, please take 2 minutes to rate and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. I know every podcast says it, but it really does make a difference and helps us continue to grow the show. Finally, remember the motto of the library. Fear gives way to knowledge. Knowledge gives way to wisdom. And wisdom gives way to the truth. Until next time.